calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious...
On this blessed Friday, let us give thanks.
So, another Friday is upon us.
G'day, g'day. Welcome to WTF, Widow Trio and Freedom. I'm Rob Birdsey. You can listen to me on... You can watch us, actually, on YouTube. I'm here with Grant Anderson today. So if you go to YouTube, Widowed Trio and Freedom, that's widowed. I'm a widowed father. A trio, I have two little freedom. We do this to get things out of our heads so we can understand them better, and maybe it might help me, and hopefully it helps my guests. Grant, how you doing, man?
Lovely.
Yeah?
Not fresher than I did yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yesterday you woke up real early? What happened?
Well, I mean, I have the radio show at 7, so I wake up at like 6:20 to get in here.
You come in here at 7 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Wow, you a game fella.
It was a decision I have learned to regret.
But it's a decision you won't do again, that's for sure.
Yeah. But you know, at least I'm productive after the show, because when I wake up early, I tend to be more productive. If I don't wake up before noon, which is far more often than not, then I just...
yeah, communication's definitely, you find yourself doing stuff all hours of the night, and then mornings aren't so great. Yeah.
Especially, yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, especially, yeah, like I got kids I got to attend to and do all that sort of stuff. Hey, I just want to do a little bit of an intro. Grant is, you're 19, right?
18.
18.
Yeah.
18 years old, can hold a conversation. We're going, I've met him through a different class here, only to find out that he's in the radio stuff as well. Pretty good guy. He loves to write, very, very cluey, very clever, and I think he's going to do some great things in this world. And the outlook to life for him is pretty phenomenal. I actually think it's a great way to do life. It's a great way to live it too. So I commend you on who you are. And I suppose I have to commend your parents, hey? Because they're probably the ones that really brought you into being such a cool character.
I would definitely say so. I learned my father's work ethic by watching him, even though for a time he... So when I started working at my first job, they were kind of worried because I didn't really do that much around the house, because I was... well, let's just say I knew my siblings would do my chores for me if I waited long enough. But as soon as I got my job, they were kind of worried I wasn't going to be able to work hard enough. So behind my back, my mother actually went to my boss and says, if he's really not doing well, you can let him go. And my boss told me this. And I'm like,
great.
Yeah. And she's probably listening right now. Yeah, I know about that, Mom. I know about that.
That's fun. Shout out to Mama Bear. That's no, I think that's good though. I like that she did that, because even if he did or didn't, or whatever the case is, the risk is there. Did you enjoy the job? Yeah,
I did enjoy parts of it. It was I did not get paid a lot. I got paid hardly any money to do basically every job in the kitchen. It was
really
probably child labor, but I got free food at the end of the week, so I mean, it kind of balances out.
Does it?
Well, when you're getting like 17 pastries at the end of a week, yeah, I would say so.
How much those pastries sell for?
Like 4 or 5 each.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough. Yeah. So you took the pastries and you went out and you just made a little shop somewhere and started selling them? Is that what you're doing?
Well, they were kind of stale by the end of the day, so I just ate them and then didn't gain any weight, unfortunately, as you know.
Yeah.
I don't gain weight easily, as much as I'd like to. But it was really good. It taught me lots of things, like how to actually really get grease out of dishes, because baking with tons of pastries, there's tons of grease on these sheet pans that you have to scrub off. I learned how to scrub those really well. Not sure how useful that's going to be, but I know how to do that.
That's fair. Everything that gets baked is not great to get off. So it's teaching you some stuff there. So when was this? How old were you?
I started, oh goodness. It was after 2020. I think 2021 is when I started working there. But I'm not working there anymore, because I was going to do something else, and then nothing happened, so I just started working at another job where I translate, which I get paid way more to do way less. I am quite literally on the other end of the workforce.
Translation that's a money maker right there. Then you could do that anywhere, eh? So no matter what you've done, you've already achieved something that you probably could use for the rest of your days.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I stuck with it. There were times where I definitely did not enjoy it the most, but I did enjoy it more than my fellow classmates did.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what language do you translate?
I speak Mandarin Chinese.
Mandarin Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
How many characters is in that their alphabet?
Well, I mean,
I tried to guess it, but I guessed wrong. So
yeah, it's upward of. So English has like 300,000 words, but for Chinese, each of those are individual characters or a combination of two. So it's like 300, 400, 500,000, maybe 700,000. It's either 500 or 700,000 characters.
What about for the alphabet, their alphabet, or is that how they work it?
So the interesting thing about Chinese is that they don't really have an alphabet, so to speak, but they do have there's these things called radicals in their characters.
Mm-hmm.
And what they are is they're kind of like little hints at what the word is. So when you look at a Chinese character, it just looks like a drawing to you, right? But there are actually certain parts of the character, not all of it, that convey meaning. So there's a certain radical that means water. So then if you see that in a character, you know it has something to do with water. And then there are other types of they're called logographic languages, other types of characters that are half of this radical that means something and then half of this radical that means like a sound. So, for example, bao, pao, ha, not how. So bao, pao, and then there's like 7 other baos, but they all have the same radical, which means the ow sound.
No, okay.
So it's easier than you'd think, and especially when the sounds in Chinese are almost all in English as well, and the grammar is very similar. It's one of the easier languages to learn if you can get over the fact that there's no structured alphabet and it's more pictures.
Yeah, they put them all together type thing, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but yeah, it's good. I know I have friends that do the same thing. My kids do Spanish. And they're doing good. Like I think it'll help them. I think it's good for the future. So I think for what you've done, I just made the decision not to teach my kids Mandarin or anything because I don't want them to move there. I want them to be here. So
yeah, China's very far away. So moving there is quite the distance.
have you been there?
No, I haven't. My dad has, but the closest I've been is Hawaii, which is kind of culturally similar, but not too much.
Yeah.
All my coworkers who are Chinese keep saying, you need to visit. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, isn't it? Because when my dad visited there, he went to Beijing,
Mm-hmm.
and the air quality is so bad that it smells like a dead fish.
Is sound coming out pretty wrong? Like, is that? I'm sure it was hard at first, and then got easier as you went through learning that language.
Yeah.
Are you thankful for it?
Very, very, very thankful. Like earlier when I was starting out, how much I wanted to quit, and thankfully my parents didn't let me.
Good.
Yeah, it helped me connect with my roots in because I am part Chinese. My family, it was a while ago, so I'm like.
You were part Chinese a while ago.
No, like my family. I was sorry. Yes, it was a precursor to a sentence I was about to say. My family is from the Guangdong province in southern China, so around Hong Kong, that kind of area.
Yeah.
Xiangang. They moved to Hawaii during way before. This is my great grandfather who moved. So. I'm not super diverse, but diverse enough that I don't just look pasty, so to speak.
Yeah, there you go. No, you don't. I mean, you definitely don't look. I mean, I can see it, but you don't look it.
Yeah.
That was from your mum's side, is that right?
Yeah, my mom. So my grandpa, he totally looks Chinese, but he didn't grow up speaking the language. He went to Hong Kong and he learned Cantonese. So me and him can't really speak Chinese together. He does speak a little bit of Mandarin, and I speak one word in Cantonese.
Minuscule.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, they're kind of similar. Their characters are almost the same, but some things are different.
Uh-huh.
good 70% of the characters are the same, but then the other is like, I don't know what that is. Not that I'm fantastic at reading characters, because I need to get back at reading. I haven't read Chinese in a while. Maybe use that skill.
Maybe you should. So let's get back to brass taxes. So did you grow up in St. George? Is that right?
I grew up in Salt Lake. So
Salt Lake.
I was born in Salt Lake, raised in Salt Lake, and I moved down to St. George in 3rd grade, and then I was just there the rest of the time, and now I'm here.
Smart parents. That's the right time to buy in St. George, that's for sure. Now it's like buying in California or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, my dad got a job offer, which obviously 3-year-old me, not 3-year-old, 3rd grade-year-old me, 3rd grade-year-old? To me, who was in 3rd grade.
Yeah, you're in 3rd grade, that's
was,
old. Yeah.
was heartbroken because, I had to leave my best friend, who was actually here, ironically. Like, he is attending this school, my friend from Salt Lake.
Really?
Yeah, so
You guys
I've
still
seen him
mates?
around. It's so hard because we were estranged for such a long time. Our interests kind of diverted, but we do have some interests that are shared. I need to invite him over. It's been way too long. I've been cleaning, of course, is the only person who cleans. Not really the only person. One of the only 2 people out of the 3, and the 3rd person makes the most mess. So we're doing a lot of work. And then, homework. And then I'm just writing away.
Yeah.
But, yeah, hopefully I'll invite him over next week. We'll see.
Yeah, sure. So going to St. George and growing up around there, obviously mum and dad are still together, so you didn't have a broken family or anything like that.
No, they're fantastic.
And it definitely shows. Like you the way how you are. I mean, you're very well rounded, and doesn't seem like you're hurting for love or anything like that. Doesn't seem like you got any vices. Actually, you seem pretty controlled.
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty controlled.
Yeah, level-headed. I like it.
Yeah.
You're thinking of the future, aren't you?
Yeah. The only problem I would say I have is time management, but that's about it, and that can be learned.
Yeah. We worked that one out last week.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. I'm not even sweating about it, actually. I think you're a great person, and things happen.
Ooh, sorry. That's
Like
my
that.
alarm to wake up normally. That's why I missed last
There
week.
you go. Growing up down there, what sports did you do?
I didn't. I did like swimming mostly, but most of my sports were like soccer up in Salt Lake. So that was mainly what I did. And then I do skiing seasonal. I just started skiing again. It's been like 4 years since I skied.
Okay.
But other than that, my workout was just working at that bakery, man. Goodness, I was on my feet for like 10 hours, scrubbing
Really?
dishes, serving food, doing the cash register, bussing tables, cleaning up.
Where was that? What was the place called?
French Bakery. Fantastic place. You should visit it.
cool.
Really good food.
Yeah.
The guy's pretty interesting. I think he just sold it, and he's going to open up an Italian noodle place. I don't know when that's happening, but it's supposed to be really good. I've had some of his food. He's a really gourmet chef. He's worked in like Mandalay Bay as a sous chef.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's
So shout out to what is it called? French?
the French Bakery. Yeah,
The French Bakery.
chef's name is Mitchell Sampson. Fantastic guy. Really taught me how to work. And surprisingly, he decided to retire in St. George out of all the credentials he has and open a small bakery.
Yeah. Hey, why not? I think St. George is a good place. So again, it's quite warm. It's full of red rock. You're an hour and a half from snow-ish,
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty decent, and from St. George to get to LA, you're 6 hours just under 6 hours. So you can get to Disney in 6 hours from St. George, guys. Move from California, quick, hurry up, they're all coming. Actually, that's St. George is one of the busiest places out now, and it's not made for it, and it's so awkward to get around there. Do you get frustrated with that?
Yeah. As soon as I started driving, I saw how the traffic started to ramp up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is getting way worse than when I started.
Really fast too, because that would have been that pinnacle, because that's when everyone was just moving from California.
Yeah, and then there are people like you see them at school too, and there's like it's totally different culture than you'd have like people from California.
Oh yeah.
And then not only that, but I found out that the people who are in charge of St. George and like Zion, a lot of our funds are actually going to tourism and wanting people to move here, like 30%. I'm like, oh no, we don't want that.
I believe it, man. I believe it. And the funny thing too is like we talked about this the other day. I'm going to say it, and I might upset a few people, but that's okay. The thing with it is, so if you live in California, you have a house there. It's like an average house. It's like $1.2 million. standard, roughly. Don't quote me on it, but that's roughly about where it's at. So most people that are barely scraping to live there anyway, that own their house, they decide to leave, right? Or if whatever the case is. So you've got a whole big chunk of people leaving California, and they're coming to Utah because Utah's just up the road. We're in the window of just under 6 hours to 9 hours if you want to go up north. So the ideal thing is everyone wants to leave there, go to Salt Lake City, only to work out that it's kind of expensive and it's really cold in the wintertime. So then they adjust themselves for the price and they look at St. George, but that's even higher because it's all nice and warm in the wintertime. So then what they do, then they look at Utah and say, well, where do we land? And this little tiny town called Cedar City.
Yeah, it's the next one on the list.
We are exploding with so many people coming in, and I'm not saying that someone is more or less or whatever the case is, but our crime rate has gone up. Everything has gone up. You know what I mean? And the way of a little small town with great things happening here, and there's still many great things here happen, but now we have this thing that's happening around us, and there's more crime. I mean, we had people dying.
Yeah, that was
so
insane.
weird, man. I don't know what's going on in this place.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. How many people? It was probably it's in the last 2 months. I know that for a fact because I moved here in January. Like, there's the girl who sad. That was so sad, and then the guy who did something that.
I believe this is not making great radio, but what I will say is, so bad things have been happening.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I'm curious about is what are the police doing to combat for that, because they would have to adjust a lot, right?
Well, I mean, they're trying to have to deal with this population boom.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Which I don't really know how you're supposed to do.
What a tangent. What do you want to do in life, Mr. Writer Boy?
Well, I mean, you kind of said it. I want to write. I love writing. It's one of my favorite things. I like creating. Writing is just a form of expression. If I could manifest movies instantly, that'd probably be the number one thing I do. But that takes money, and writing doesn't, thankfully. So I can do that on my free time. I have tons of ideas, actually so many, probably for like the next 40 years if I was ever going to write. I have 40 years worth of ideas, but how I stitch them together, that's a completely different story.
Yeah. Good luck with that. So are you wanting to be more specific? Would you work on a TV show writing, or would you go into movies, or are you thinking just writing books?
I feel like I'd be able to manage TV. I'm not sorry, movies better, just because I'd be writing books, and books are much more meaty, like a movie would be. Whereas a TV show, you kind of have to tease everything like a chapter, but chapters are way too short in a book to extend to a full episode. I don't really have any experience writing episodes for a TV show. Not saying I have any experience writing for a movie, but.
What about have you seen Lost?
Yes, my family just started watching that, so I've seen a few of the first,
good
30 episodes.
30 episodes. How many seasons that get you into it?
I think it's season. Oh, actually, I have no idea.
I honestly, man, Lost. I think the first 3 seasons are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And from there, it gets a little bit convoluted, and then it sort of comes back, and they kind of tie it up. I think he did was it J.J. Abrams, right? Wrote that? Is it right? I think so.
I don't know.
Could be wrong. Whatever. I think he did really good. The one thing about Lost, and he was one of I think he was the first one to do it, where people would leave on cliffhangers, where he would start in the middle of all sorts of stuff. So he ended it and started it wherever he wanted to, and I think it kind of. I don't know, it was just a good different change for what we're used to and things like that with. So I think if you looked at a thing like Lost, I think Lost is written almost it's written as an episodic, but it's kind of like a movie the way how. So I would look at things like that. You know what I mean? That would give you a bit of an insight of what's going down.
Yeah, Lost, people in the writing community would acknowledge this. Lost did change the way media is happening. So there's this term called in medias res. You might know what that is, but it means starting in the middle of something.
Yeah.
And then explaining it later, which as people, we've evolved to the point where we infer a lot. My creative writing teacher actually talked about how we as a people like 40 years ago, we needed to see this person, no, more like 80 years ago, see this person pick up a phone, say, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And then, "No, I need you over here." So they grab their keys, they walk out, they go into the driveway, they go in their car, they start their car, they drive out, they drive over, and then. But you don't need that anymore because we as a people have evolved to the point where we're aware of what's going on. We know if you grab the keys, you're going to drive. We're way more literate than we were like 80 years ago. And it's just a matter of like, I wouldn't say common sense, but the fact that we've learned to infer these things is changed media forever, and things are just getting more and more fast paced.
Yeah. No, it's exactly what you say. I love reminiscing with the old movies and things like that from the 80s and 70s and stuff like that. But you watch them and it's like, oh man, if I was to edit this thing, this would be a 10-minute movie because you just know all of that. It's like what you just sort of said then is, you know, if you grab, all you have to do is grab the keys and then open the door where you're going into for the store or whatever. You know, they just drove there. Where back in that day, it would be grab the keys, start the car, drive out the driveway. Oh my goodness, it's so sad. But it's good. I mean, it's fun to see the progression of movies and where they've come from a writing standpoint.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see how the landscape's going to change in the next few years because, like, we had, let's see, superhero movies, and then they kind of died off after Endgame finished. There were a few good ones sprinkled in after that, but they're all kind of not that good. Well, at least in my opinion. And
I agree. No, I definitely agree. They're fun, but they took over everything, which kind of pissed me off. It's like I look back at some of the movies I would try on there. Sorry, I'll let you get back to your opinion. But like from 80s to 90s was such a golden era of we're just going to make it and see if it works. I mean, it's totally crazy and everyone lost so much money on them, but at least they would try things that we never saw before. Now we're just seeing reruns of everything we've already watched. I hate the remakes of things. I don't understand it. There's such good writers in this world. Can we please have something new? Please, come on, Hollywood, wake up.
Yeah, it's really sad, but there is a show that I've been watching, Severance. I just started watching it. It is amazing. And it's an original story, a TV show, and the creative writing teacher, my goodness, do I even know her name? I'm bad with names. Like, if I don't know your name by month 7, it's normal. Sorry.
I have a trick for you. We'll talk about it.
Okay. Oh, I'd be happy to learn it. But it's really, like, every episode is extremely tense, and it always ends on a point where you're like, okay, now I have to watch the next episode. That's how every TV show should be, to keep you going through. Well, it's kind of bad because then you sit there binging and you waste the entire day because you just want to see how it ends, but then it doesn't end because there's so many episodes. But that show is really fantastic. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. It's a bit adult, I will say, but it is.
So is it like a mature audience, or is it more like it has some nudity
it's
or something?
TVMA, so
Okay.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of language.
Risque.
Yeah, risque, as you would say.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic. It's about these people who are they go into this job and it's like kind of iffy, really unnatural. It's kind of what's the right word? Eerie, I would say. Eerie would be the best word.
Have you seen Psych?
I have. I love that show.
Dude, I just watched the first episode the other night, and I couldn't believe how much I was blown away. Like, oh, this is good. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm not sure you know this, but in every single episode, there is a hidden pineapple. So it's a little Easter egg.
Yeah, I saw that. The first one, he pulls it out of the fridge or whatever, right? Yeah, I noticed the pineapple. Yeah.
So like people go through. There's like timestamps.
Wait, is that a?
Yeah.
Well, we'll do it at the top of the hour, and we'll see where we're at. And do you want to stick around for the next hour with me too?
I would love to.
Yeah, done. Yeah, no, I think that's fine. I don't know why they even add the pineapples, but isn't it like? Have you heard of that? The pineapple thing, the swingers.
No, I haven't.
So apparently, if you go shopping and you're buying food, if you have an upside down pineapple in your cart, that's an indication for everyone in the supermarket to know you're available to swing if you would like to.
Oh,
Isn't that weird?
that is really weird.
If I buy a pineapple, I grab it, stuff it, and hide it. I don't want no.
Well, I have a feeling That's not going to be as widely known in Utah as it would everywhere
Oh yeah,
else.
it is.
Oh, it is?
Oh,
Really?
it's a big thing here.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't even. Well, you'll learn as you get older. It's so funny, man. As you're a young person, you're like you see people that they're into that sort of thing, and you're like, yeah, good on you. But as you get older, I don't know if people are just getting bored, but it was crazy. Like I went to this one person's place. I was doing some painting on the side to make some money. I went to this one person's place and I wrote him a quote, and she offered me herself if I could make it cheaper. And I'm like, oh no, I'm good. I don't do that. Good luck.
Okay, that is really weird.
Well, that's prostitution.
That is also illegal.
Welcome to the show this morning. No, but I just couldn't believe that. Like it's such a big. It's and it's everywhere. As you grow older, you'll see. I mean, it's so weird.
Yeah, that's
People
kind of
get-
disheartening a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing too is look, I've known a lot of friends to do things like that with their relationships because they think that's the next thing they need to do, and it ends so horribly bad, man. And I mean, everyone's hurting, everyone's done things they didn't want to do. You know what I mean? It's not a great scenario, so I would suggest don't ever do it.
Not that I would know. I've
Yeah.
never been in a relationship before. So, ladies, if you're interested, I'm here.
I need to know why that pineapple's in every episode of Psych. I'm gonna Google that. I bet you it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, it's really fun to look for. Sometimes it's not always like a full pineapple. It's like a picture of pineapple or something.
Yeah.
But it's really fun to look for. Not to mention the episodes are really great.
Oh, the episodes they just look fun. So the other one that you'll watch, so it's really intense. So it's like a dark, shady sort of. Got
yes,
some cussing and carrying on.
very very dark. Cusses a lot. I will say. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably just as much as you do outside the studio.
I speak French, friend. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm fluent.
But it's absolutely fantastic. And there's the episodes of season 2 are still coming out. I think one's out today. I need to go home and
Oh,
watch
so
it.
this is new.
It's like the season 1's been out for like a year or two,
Okay.
maybe. But season 2 is like still.
So you're
actively
into it.
coming
You're
out.
like
Yeah.
right up to watching it as it comes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we binged it, me and my roommate. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. What was it called again?
Severance. It's on
Severance.
Apple TV only, I think. So
I'm not going to watch that. Sorry, Apple TV. I don't
Yeah.
pay for your service because you're too expensive and you got all our money.
my parents just haven't had it because my dad, he works all the time and he just
Sure.
likes to relax watching TV shows. Not that he likes that show. but-
No, buddy. When I'm working, I like to have choice. I would have it too. I mean, we had all sorts of stuff. You know, when my wife was around and we had a family going, we didn't have to worry about stuff. You know, if you want to watch it, go watch it. I'm just at the stage of, I could only afford this right now, so this is what we're going to watch. So
Yeah.
I have to get real creative with my kids. So so this right now we're on the Netflix thing. Last year I got a real ripping deal on Max. I think I bought it for $80 for a year, and that's how I buy them for a year. Obviously Netflix doesn't do it, but I'll just do like 3 month chunks and then I'll get rid of it. So expensive these days.
Yeah, and now they're just trying to add ads to your subscriptions,
I know,
which is
man.
ridiculous.
We're right back to where we started.
Yeah.
From. We're right back at paid TV.
There's an interesting concept that that I've discovered is that you know how like people pirate stuff all the time, and it's
Sure.
it's awful, but people don't actually want to pirate. I've learned that they would rather have good conscience and pay for something.
Yeah.
But if it's not available to the point where, man, I have nowhere place to watch it, or it's way too expensive, they'll just go and pirate it because they want to watch it anyway. But like pirating has gone down as soon as like streaming services started to be introduced.
I believe
but
it.
now it's gone up again because it's
They-
just getting more expensive.
Yeah.
And ads. It's ridiculous.
I wish. Now, this is what I will put this to any producers out there that have any control over anything at all, right? If you opened up a sanction for, you only make nothing at all because you're dealing with sick kids or maybe handicapped or whatever the case is, right? Maybe you're widowed like me. Maybe you can't afford nothing because you're trying to raise kids and not be in the way of them growing as a person, you know, and give them the full dad. I would suggest if you have a tab where you can submit your taxes, and if you come under, if they allocated it for, like right now where they're making their maximum amount of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, lock that in for people that are making over, let's just say over $30,000. If you're making over $30,000, you probably, and you want to watch all this, great, you pay full price. Or maybe it's a little bit more than that because I think now pay should go up, but it doesn't. And I think that if they brought it down to even if it was like, why would we give that person that makes no money it for $2 a month? Guess what? that person's down for this period of time, eventually they'll get back up again, or whatever the case is. When they get back up, they're hooked to your service because you've given it to them for such a long time. You've been loyal to them, now they're going to be loyal to you. So if I was a producer in that realm, I would step in that section really hard, and I would say, right, prove to me that you're a broke person and that you got struggles, right? And put down, oh, I have 2 kids, single father, I'm widowed, bang. And this is all that I make, because I don't make anything, right? But then they would be addicted.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. I don't know how they would do that, though.
Why not?
Like getting taxes from people, seeing, verifying if they're broke or not. I don't really know how that would work on a corporate level.
Clearly, people could cheat it by making fake tax returns, but I think it would just be setting the standard in a computer system, and then it would just kind of be basically automated, unless it was on a tricky scenario. Then it would have to be revised.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it would be worth it, even if it was at a cost of hiring people to do it, and maybe it's a little detrimental to yourself. But I think in the long run, you would make more money.
and you're probably right.
Yeah. How do you feel when someone does right by you? When someone's looked after you 5 years ago, and they come up to you right now, oh man, I am so broke right now. I'm so hungry. Can you buy me some lunch, please?
Well, yeah.
Would you be honored to do that?
Yeah.
Because that person looked after you.
Yeah, but the problem.
Yeah.
The main problem with this right now, obviously, is that there are very few corporate entities out there who actually care about their audience anymore, which is kind of sad. Their customers, they're just, instead of like sticking loyal, they're just more focused on making money. I mean, you see these giant corporations who have flip-flopped on the political spectrum just to keep with the current times, try and get as much money from who they think is the biggest audience.
Disney what?
Yeah.
But so what you just talked about right there, I just want to touch on this for 2 seconds. That's Disney. Disney doesn't care anymore, man.
Yeah.
No matter what, because you know why? We know. Because you go to we're getting a repeat going on. We just started repeating.
that was weird.
I don't understand that.
Echo.
Is it the microphone on that? I don't know, we're getting a couple of mics going on here. It's kind of fun. But if
But my
it's still repeating. Anyway, let's jump back to what Disney is doing. Like they and I actually think they're being extremely reasonable about their prices, to be honest with you, especially for what they have. The only thing with Disney is once you have Disney, it gets extremely boring. You know what I mean? Like you've seen it all, and it doesn't add to too much. I almost feel like they need to have a different division come into it, but I suppose that's why they have the the sports one as well as
ESPN, like on their streaming. There's ESPN, Hulu, and then all the studios.
ABC stuff too, right? But I think they've rolled that into.
But I think that's with Hulu, I believe. That's like connected with
Hulu. So but them having that, it's like they're just going to kibosh and say, no, you're going to pay this and this is it. The good thing about Disney, what they're doing is you can pay it by the year, and it brings it right down in price for me. Like otherwise I couldn't do it. Kids love it, and then when I tell them to watch something on Disney when we have it, they're like, oh, I've seen it all. It's like, it's just funny,
Yeah.
Fun to see.
Like when my parents, like, we canceled Disney Plus for like a good month.
Yeah.
Because we weren't watching that much. We kind of watched everything. We grew up on Disney, so we've seen all this stuff, and we still have DVDs lying around of most of the movies.
Yeah. Is that working good now? Yeah. You guys sorted? What was it?
Not sure. It just fixed itself. So.
Oh, interesting.
They tend to do that, computers. What was I saying? Disney. So we canceled it for like a good month or two, and then
I did too, actually.
We were me and my brother and sister were like, oh, we want it back, and then when we got it back, we like watched it for maybe a month, and then it kind of
was it. Yeah.
But the problem with Disney is that they're just being so soulless in their corporation. Instead of actually creating stuff, they're, like you said, they're remaking things over and over again.
Hating that, man.
But the problem is that they know it makes money because it does.
Yeah,
because,
well, that's why they're doing it, because they know it's proven.
Yeah, it's market. What's the right word? Monopolizing on nostalgia. It's a very powerful emotion that you see. Like, they remade all the old Disney movies, like the princess movies. They're making Lilo and Stitch right now. Snow White, which has a few problems. But Lilo and Stitch, I'm holding out hope for that. I love Lilo and Stitch.
It's fun.
Maybe they'll do okay with it, but I would rather see original works.
Yeah, no, I really would. But it's too risky at this stage. And when they look into, what was I going to say there? Oh, so my cousin, right? She's an accountant, and years ago she explained to me, if you want to know what the market is, just think of the market as a car, right? We're all in this car, which is what we're all doing. We're all in this massive big car. We're driving along, and we're in the market. But we can't see out the windscreen because we can't see the future. So instead of looking out the windscreen, we're looking in the revision mirror to see what we did to make sure it works for the future. And that's exactly what they're doing when it comes to making movies. Will it work? Why does it work? And how much does it work? And the problem with that is, and there's a bigger problem on top of that, is when these movies do good, they don't just do good. They do good by hundreds and hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions and millions. So the step of them making that so well. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can do that. I'm going to make an announcement in a minute. But because they put all that, where was I up to?
Disney.
Oh, the doing the market research, because they see the difference in the money that made. So in the 80s, a lot of companies went to Hollywood with all their money and lost it. But they would produce all these movies that actually weren't bad. They're pretty solid. But it was such trial and error. They look at those and the hits they lost, and then what they made on the movies that make money, that are true tried and perfected. We're doomed. We're doomed for the future. It's going to be independent companies that come up that want to take the risk is what's going to take Disney down. And it's not so much you're going to take Disney down because they got their parks, but that's the only way. It's like Mr. Beast has a good chance because of what he's doing. Do you know what I mean?
Say, yeah.
And I think I know that guy's gotten some bad stuff going on here and there.
Yeah, definitely some. What's the right word? Scandals, so to
yeah,
speak.
But it's happening around him, and it's not him directly. And I think people should look at that and look at the media. Man, I mean, I'm in communications, and the media sucks. You know, they
not our media, of course. This place is awesome.
I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people around here are very biased on things too. So I mean, there's a lot of people in the communications that I don't really speak with, you know what I mean? Which for me, I think is extremely sad, because if you're going to be friends with, really in communications, wouldn't you want to be friends with everybody? Yeah. Wouldn't you want to make a friend and know that they're going to be a solid ally for the future? But people don't understand that. It's too narrow-minded.
Yeah, what's happening right now is that we've gotten to a political divide to the point where when you're so far extreme to one side that people on your side, you might agree with 80% of what they're saying, but if you see one thing they disagree on, they're kind of ousted as an outcast.
Oh yeah,
it's becoming really unhealthy, and if we don't fix it, I think it's going to be a very big problem.
Yeah, I agree. I think my age obviously changes things too around here, being with a bunch of young kids. Like I know I don't speak
the slang
of your realm, of your world, of what you guys get into, because I don't do it, and I do my own thing. Obviously, I'm a very practical person, and it's not even if I wasn't practical. I'm raising 2 little boys, trying to go to school and trying to live. Yeah, I don't have money, so I have to cook everything. So every single day is full. My days are full. They're crazy full. So for me, it's just I don't have luxuries of having fun. But I will say there is lots of fun with my family, and when we get to go do things, and when I watch them see them succeed, it's a different thing. Because when you're younger, it's like all about you, right? What do you like? What do you want to do? Then you get married, and it's it's about her. So what does she want to do? What do you guys want to do together? And then and now it's about the little boy there or little girl that comes along and everything else, man. So enjoy your time while you have it. You know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
Be very, very strategic about how you do your things. We have a missing dog, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to mention this right now. Hey, YouTube, missing dog, if anyone sees it, if you're around Cedar City, it's it looked like German Shepherd, half Border Collie, mostly black and brown, lost in the SUU area of Cedar City. If found, please call Victoria at 435 238-8708. That's Victoria for a half German Shepherd, half Border Collie. Sounds like a good dog. It's black and brown in color. Please call Victoria at 435-238-8708. Thank you.
Hopefully you find that dog.
Yeah, we'll leave that there. Someone else can do some more until we hear they got it.
Yeah, they probably will. Cedar City's pretty active compared to other places.
Cedar City's an amazing place, man. It's so diverse too. From where we're coming, in 10 years' time, this place is going to be it's going to be a mini city. You know what I mean? And it's going to be great. Right now, it's a country town, which is turning into a fairly big city. So it's
like St. George 10 years ago.
As St. George, when I wanted to buy in St. George, I'm so silly. I wish I bought. Like in 2009, 2010, I was looking into St. George and thinking, this place is perfect. I really should buy here. And that's when I made the biggest. I bought up in Logan, and I made the biggest mistake. Down there would have made me more money.
There's definitely a few places that are still like on the outskirts that are cheaper. Obviously, they're not as cheap as they were 10 years ago, but they're much more affordable than it would be like in town, or even like kind of in town. There are some developments out along the edges in the sticks, as you would say.
Yeah, in the boonies.
There's Ivans. So that place is developing relatively like it's like a kind of like a good constant line. So the investments, they're probably going to come through. But as of course St. George expands, it's going to merge all these other towns in the same place. It wouldn't surprise me if 20 years from now that St. George and Hurricane were basically the same city. I mean,
it definitely will be. I think from 20 years from now, I think from Cedar to St. George, it's going to be full. Like
really?
There's a lot of land between here and there, and just the way how I've seen it's already starting to fill out now. Because at this stage, where you are from Cedar City, and this is for people down there, anyone out there listening to, as I have friends all over the place, but Cedar City is 45 minutes away from St. George, right?
Yes, yeah.
And it's all downhill, and it used to be all nothing but farmland, but as you go through there now, it's sporadically filling up. And you can see, like, you first it starts off with like 10-acre blocks or 20-acre blocks, right? Through a period of time, you see the house here, house there, scattered all over the place. But then you roll through. I remember like Salt Lake City when it expanded down south. You'd roll through, see your scattered houses, and then you'd roll through 3 years later, and then you'll see a couple of doubles or their little clusters of houses. And that's what we got right now. We got clusters. So over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to start seeing environments of just like city streets, little areas and things starting to grow with a bunch of houses. So in 10 years to 20 years, it's just going to be full.
I mean, you're probably right. So what I've at least this is what I would think if I were to put myself in these people's shoes. I would wouldn't want to move to a place without a Walmart because that's really important for my livelihood. I don't feel like driving like 10 miles to get to a grocery store or relying on my neighbors for sugar completely. But people who are native to Cedar City or St. George, I have a feeling they're going to get they are getting tired of people moving there, so they're moving to these smaller places, far more out, and then. What do you know? All of a sudden, St. George and Cedar City are getting so big that people don't want to live there anymore. So they start moving in. It's like it's constant migration.
Yeah,
I'm surprised people aren't tired yet.
Yeah, and plus the other thing too is out of the west coast of the states, Utah is such a great place to live. It's got such great taxes and breaks for all sorts of things, and they're very family orientated. It's a great place to be a part of. So, and it's the main corridor of the I-15. It runs all the way from LA, up into Montana, I believe. Yeah, it goes all the way to Montana. I've been up there. It's so beautiful. So yeah, anyway, we're at the top of the hour. We're past the top of the hour now. You're listening to KSUU Thunder 91 in Cedar City. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to keep rolling with my show right now. Sorry, guys, but after 11 o'clock, you can have music again. Sound good? Do you want to stick around for a little bit more?
I would love to. I think it's a pretty productive conversation. I'm liking this.
No, I like it. It's eclectic and we're all over the place. Sorry for the audio and stuff getting out there. I need to pull that off later. See if we can fix it up. I don't know. We probably can't, huh?
What?
The audio for it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, and then you got other streams.
Yeah, we'll look into it. So we'll get it all polished up for you guys. Sorry about that out there. So what are you doing? So are you here to study writing?
So I was actually unsure on what I was going to do, specifically because writing is not really an immediate wallet fattener. And I was originally going to go into programming. Like I told you about this, but AI is starting to take over the field to the point where it's kind of hard to dip your toes in without the fear of it replacing you. That's a lot. That's like, for me, I'm currently in the transition period. I'm going to school where the world is changing, and I don't know what to do. That's why I don't really have a major yet. I'm doing exploratory studies. I'm really enjoying audio production. I'm really enjoying writing, and I just started a class going on these field trips for southern Utah flora, like where you can look at these plants and try and differentiate them. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, nice.
I took it for a few other reasons. I don't need to go into it. It's quite a lot, but
okay.
I mean, unless you want me to.
Yeah, bring it. We got an hour.
Okay. Basically, what I like to write, right? And specifically, I like to world build. I like to write fantasy. I like making these whole worlds. I like playing God, kind of. I like cultures, languages. I love that type of part. And I wanted to fine-tune it.
Yep.
So I'm studying flora so I can create fake plants for my worlds. That's how in depth I go.
No, that's perfect. Then you'll have a better understanding.
Yeah, it's really interesting so far. Like I now know the difference between a spruce, fir, and a pine.
Tell us. We need to know.
Let's see. So spruce, they have their needles are really mostly short, but they're sharp. Their bark is really
flaky.
Yeah, flaky. Like it pulls off easy.
Yeah.
Really chunky.
Yeah,
I would
chunky.
say.
Yeah. So spiky, small, and pull off the bark.
And their pine cones, they're really papery. They're long, thin, and it's not like a real pine cone where it's like that you would see during Christmas where they're like very wooden.
Yeah.
They're a lot more papery, more like cardstock, I would say. Not really quite paper. Then there is the pine tree, which has mostly clumps of needles instead of like singular needles shooting out of a twig.
Interesting.
And their wood is their wood is pretty similar. But the most differentiable one is the fir, where their needles they're usually longer, though they can be short, and they're a lot softer. So like and they're flat too. So if you like rub your hand on a branch, it's not gonna poke you thousands of times like you would on a spruce. And their bark is way more smooth. It's like what you would see in a cartoon with like smooth bark.
Which one grows the fastest?
I don't know that yet. It's just one class.
I can tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what'd you have? So it was a spruce,
pine, and fir.
I think it's the Doug fir because that's what we build houses with.
That would make sense.
It must be the fastest growing.
Either that,
But there's
or
different grades of it too.
yeah, we do have like in Oregon, there's like tons and tons of forests that they just go through. They chop down, but then they replant because it's really dumb if you're going to chop down wood to not plant more.
Yeah.
If you're a business, you want more wood in the next 10 years. It's a really smart thing to do.
Yeah. Do they rip up all the
Like the stumps.
stumps and stuff? Yeah.
I actually am not sure about
I think
that.
that's the thing that dries the land out.
Yeah.
When they don't do that, it doesn't work. But
Like
if
when-
they do it, then if they cultivate it all up, it makes it better to grow.
Yeah, I mean, they could probably be better about it because my dad's family's from Oregon, so we would go there and out. We went on a road trip further deep into Oregon. There's like tons of fields that are all chopped down, but they're like more trees growing up in between those trees. But there are a lot of stumps. I don't really know how far that goes. I'm not
No,
I'm not the wood guy.
So so now I'm curious, right? So you get into all this extra detail on putting into your books.
Mm-hmm.
What are you using with that detail? How are you using that detail?
Well, I like to create immersive experience.
Yeah.
I have some books that take place in other worlds. My
yeah.
favorite, because I like making cultures. It's really fun. I like languages. I'm actually taking a linguistics class, so I'm making fake languages. They're called conlangs. They're really fantastic. I'll get into that later if we have time. But I use these details to add further depth to these characters. Not only that, but I just find it interesting to explore other cultures. That's what I think is a little bit entertaining to figure out, their customs, what's different. And that might just because I grew up with like learning about Chinese. It could be that I was programmed that way, so to speak, to like be interested in other cultures. But I think it's pretty interesting for other people. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a market for these, like Lord of the Rings or The Way of Kings, which you should read. But we'll have time for that later.
Yes.
All these other books that are just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. That's fun. No, I like that. I think it's great to hear. Yeah, I would suggest, like, if you're going to look at different woods and things like that, and I don't know how you're going to use it, but I would look at what you would use that wood for. Why are they growing that there? Is that what you're looking into that?
Yeah, like practicality. So like, how do they build these big buildings with what, and where did they get the material from?
Yeah.
I go into really, really depth, and I'm doing a project right now. Actually, a lot of people have kind of flaked on me, kind of like how I flaked on you last week. But it's I call it the project. It's about a book where there's tons of different cultures, but there's so many, I don't have time to make them all. So instead, I force it upon my friends to make like their own little culture, and then we try and mesh it together. At least I'm the one who's meshing it together. They just focus on the culture building. So far, I think I've had like 2 people do things. Like 5 people have promised, but nothing's come about it, and it's been like a few months.
So are they writing this stuff?
It's more of the world building. So I'm working on the story and a few other cultures. I'm doing like 6, like full on, like a lot.
No, what are these cultures though? Tell me this. What is it?
Let's see. There's quite a few. Specifically in this one, this book, it revolves around a goddess known as the seamstress, and she's woven together this world, and there's some mystery going on, of course, but it specifically follows a few groups. So there's an empire called the Hepburn Empire, and there's kind of like I wouldn't say a hostile coup, but definitely a power takeover. It's not to the point where it's a coup where people die, but it's a point where a guy goes in, he threatens saying, if you don't do this, I will starve your country, so put me as king. And he's part of this country too. And it's because like he goes into this meeting, and it's an emergency meeting because there's this it's not really a lord who died, or specifically was murdered, and they're like, what's going on? And then his son confesses, like, I murdered him. And what? Like it's a shock factor, right? And he says, I did this because our country is awful and I want to fix it. But you guys are going through all this red tape to the point where nothing's happening. Obviously, that sounds really messed up, but that's not. He did not kill his father. That's the plot twist.
Oh, okay.
It goes into something. So the Hepburn Empire is I guess the main driving force. It's one of the superpowers of this world. They have these really cool buildings that their lights are these giant glass balls at the top of these cone roofs that soak up sunlight. So during the night, it lets light into the building, and based on the slope of the roof, so there's no shadows in the building. I like making aesthetic things.
No, sounds great.
And then there's another one where they're in a desert and it's blowing wind all the time because their god makes wind blow through the desert to fight off the cold in the north. And it's so windy that they actually have clothes that are made of rattan.
Rattan, yeah.
So they can actually traverse outside in the sand. Otherwise, their skin would be cut to shreds. Type of situation. So a lot of unique things.
So let me recap this. So you've got what is it? A think tank basically.
Yeah.
And you're asking them to spend some time.
Yeah, like maybe like 2 hours at most to create a world.
And just
if you're interested, you can
create a world. No, I'm totally down. Actually, this sounds like a good challenge. Not right now. I'm busy. But,
yes.
but no, I would definitely like to be a part of that. So if and then just bringing, and you're trying to bring this. This is just like your own idea. This is brilliant.
Why, thank you. Yeah, it's like something I thought.
Give me your idea, and if you could do that to me, that would be great. And then 5 minutes later, you got a movie about. Yeah, that'd be great.
Obviously, they'll get credit for it. I'm not going to take credit for everything.
No, not at all.
So, like one of the ones my buddy's working on, Holden. He's over in Mongolia right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it is.
Shout out to Holden.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He probably can't listen to this because he's on a mission. But, if he can. He sends a few song requests and, like, you should play this song. But he's over there.
Where's he at?
Yeah, he's in Mongolia. He's in the rural place. He used to be in the Ulaanbaatar, which is, like, their main city. I know a lot of facts about Mongolia now because he talks about it.
Good food.
No.
No?
No. So
Really?
the Mongolian food that you know is actually Taiwanese.
Okay, I like Taiwanese then, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the meats and
Mongolian
stuff.
food
Yeah.
is all boiled meat because it's so cold and desolate there. He does not like the food there. Like, he ate boiled sheep's head the other day. He had to eat the brain, the cheek, the tongue. Yeah, it's really nasty. He hates the food there. But there are KFCs, which he's like, the KFCs there are better than here somehow.
Yeah, no, the KFCs in Australia rock. KFC over here really blows, to be honest with you. Sorry, KFC. Pick your game up and bring the fries that they make in Australia. Bring them to America, please. We want those fries. Those fries are amazing. The fries over here are garbage. Keep your wedges. We don't want them. We want those fries. I trust me, America. You're missing out on some good fries. Australia, you lucky buggers. I would go to KFC just to buy the fries. Anyway, we can keep going now. Sorry.
So Mongolia is really interesting. Is that they're actually similar to Utah in a few ways. Specifically, they're like their land mass as a country.
Yeah.
But also their population density. About 2/3 of their population is in that one city. The other third are
just spread out everywhere.
No, 1/3 is their city. The other 2 are nomads. Like, they're full on nomads.
Wow.
And I know, like, I saw this video about like Mongolian nomads, and there were people in the comments saying, "Oh my gosh, how dare you? Just because you're assuming that these people in this other country are all nomads because it's this stereotype." But no, it's actually true.
That's
you
what
look
they
it
are.
up.
Yeah.
You look it up. They're 2/3 nomadic, and that is, or is it? It might be 3/5 it now. Like, I think it's going down.
Okay.
But it's insane about how different the culture is there. Specifically, not even only that, but like the climate. It gets to like 80 degrees in the summer, but -40 in the winter.
Ouch.
Yeah, it gets really cold there.
-40.
Yeah, it's because it's so high elevation, and the Gobi Desert. It's on the Gobi Desert.
Yeah.
There's no protective barrier like you would have over. Like, we're not near the equator anymore.
Wow.
We're above China. And the Gobi Desert itself, actually, it makes these sandstorms. They're not based off of what the whole sandstorm idea I had in my book with, like, the wind, but they actually can kill people. They're so strong that there's I think a few years ago, one actually made its way down to Beijing and killed like 7 people.
What was that?
A sandstorm from the Gobi Desert in Mongolia. It
Really?
made all the way down. Yeah.
Wow.
And it creates even their air quality in Beijing gets bad because of these sandstorms in the Gobi Desert. It's really interesting, the climate and the culture there. Apparently they view Genghis Khan as their George Washington. There's no bad anything about him. It doesn't talk about how he threw diseased bodies over walls to plague the people inside. But
do you know much about him?
About Genghis Khan, he's really cool. Actually, he's a pretty cool guy.
He's amazing.
Besides, the murdering, there was a time I heard about where he was riding in a battle and someone shot him off his horse with a bow and arrow. Instead of having him killed, he said, "You're awesome. You're my general. You're hired."
come.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but he would go into, I mean, surely he had to bring it up as who he was as a person, right? So what did they understand back in that day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's death, right? You
Yeah.
understand death pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
So he did kill a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But once he established himself, and like you say, he would pull people in that he thought they were the best at the game of what they were doing. He would pull them in, and he would friend them.
Mm-hmm.
And when a friend like that his best friend tried to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was so many things I went through. But he would roll through a town, with his army or whatever, and before they would even hit the town, he would go in there by himself, and say, "Hey, you guys got a choice. This is us. We're here. We're coming. You guys can either join with us and we can roll, or we'll take you out."
There was actually a specific time. There was a city in the Middle East where he sent an emissary to this place, and they killed the emissary.
Yeah.
And he got really mad.
Yeah.
And he said, "Okay, you know what? Fine. I have beef with this city." So he goes up and he says, and he yells. Well, he doesn't. I don't really know exactly how it worked, but he told the city that if the king does not come out and die, because he would kill the king, the entire city would be wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
The king didn't come out. The entire city was wiped out.
Yeah. And that's the stories that carry him to be able to walk up to a town and say, "This is me.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you."
He was fantastic. He really knew what he was doing, except
Yeah.
for sea warfare. He wasn't able to get to Japan because he just wasn't good.
They
at
didn't
that.
have the technology back then, did they?
Well, I mean, he was more of like land conquering. Genghis was not good at naval warfare, which is why he never got to Japan.
Yeah, he's a land
Yeah.
land warmonger.
And
Yeah.
he worked, and his empire lasted until he died, which shows that he was literally the thing that held it together because he
Yeah.
was so good at it. But after he died, his son, or I think it was like 2 generations, then it like completely shattered.
No, it's yeah. I don't know. I would like to learn more about it, but it'd be fun. Imagine if you could take a trip back, like time machine it, and just be
Yeah.
a fly on the wall. Man, that would be fun to watch.
Definitely.
Or
Oh,
just
man.
the thought of what made him get to that point.
And the amount of history that's lost because there's just not records of it is insane too. Like the library.
We need to get you a mic, brother.
Okay.
we need to bring you in on this.
Yeah, we got a little shadow.
Googling things.
Yeah.
That'd be
Jamie, look that up.
Jamie, bro.
You want to be my Jamie? Yeah, Jackson's a good guy. I've worked with this guy for a couple of semesters now, and he's a really good person. Good at what he does too. Good at editing.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm really good at it.
Yeah,
So
he's
never
fast,
mind.
too.
He's actually pretty
Fast.
bad at what he does.
No,
he's
Awful. Really. No, it's pretty cool.
All right. Cameras on.
That's funny. We're just having a bit of fun. So if you were to map out your plan of attack, now the only reason why I ask you this is because you're great to talk with. You have a good understanding on life. To be an 18-year-old where you're at right now, I think if I was to put me in that, I don't even think I'm where you're at now. Actually, when I got in my 30s, I became more wiser about what I was doing, and now I'm who I am. I know nothing at all, but I'm getting better at that, knowing nothing. What if you could try and build out the rhyme and reasons of where you want to get to? How do you think you're going to become a writer, and what sort of writer? So you really think you're going to do like video, movies, set?
I would love to. Obviously, the best way to do that as an independent person would be to either go straight into Hollywood, but I'm not too fond of how the climate is for there right now, so I'll stick with my books. But if it gets popular enough, then it can get kicked off into a movie, which I think there's a pretty good chance of that happening
We should
based
make
on
some
my
teasers
writing.
for it.
Yeah, exactly. I actually, that's how I write. I visually, when I listen to music, I can actually see things scene for scene and how it would play out.
Wow,
So just to say, it's pretty cinematic.
I love that.
But the books themselves, I don't want to scare people off, so I don't do the ones I have, that one I call it Threads with all the other cultures. That's not gonna be my first book. That's kind of like a much later. I don't want that to be my first book where your first impression is, it's going to be a series, it's a trilogy, where like it ends off on a note and you're like, okay, how is this going to go? I need people to trust me first. So I'm writing a murder mystery. It's like an anthology of murder mysteries that all tie in at the end. It's like, oh, they're all connected. Oh, wow. Hopefully it's really clever. The first murder mystery in this anthology, I wrote in like a week because I was I had a fever. Not really. Like, I didn't actually have a fever. I had a creative fever, where I was reading like Agatha Christie, stuff like that, Sherlock Holmes, and I just wrote this murder mystery so fast, and it's about 50 pages in a week, which, considering how fast I write, that's actually really impressive. Obviously, it's like a first draft, so it wasn't that good, but I've gone through and I've revised it several times. But I've had this idea on how to like continue it forward, but I've lost that that frenzy that I need to, that inspiration. Right now, I'm focusing on that other book, Threads. I'm like, oh man, I really want to get to that. Oh, it's so cool, because I like the world building aspect. I like the writing. I like the drama. This one right now, I will say it has kind of a slow beginning, but it'll ramp up in the end, and hopefully, I think it's pretty clever. From what I've heard from my friend who definitely has no bias when he reads my stuff, definitely not. That'd be ridiculous. It's not like he's telling me how great I am and nothing bad.
Yeah, he's a good friend.
Yeah.
Hey, I if you ever want me to read something, I'll be truthful, man. I'll be a proper friend, because I give it to people and then I probably never see them again. To be honest with you, I'm like, if you want my honest opinion, I'll fire it away.
It's definitely my weakest one. I will say that, and I want to figure out how to make it better. Like the murder mystery, I would say is clever. The first one, at least. I'm working out the other ones, but the way I reveal it is problematic. It's not as entertaining as it would in a normal murder mystery. Like, have you seen Knives Out?
Yeah.
A fantastic murder mystery, probably the best one.
I watched it years ago when I was going through I was going through the cancer stuff with my wife, and I think I wasn't looking at it in the right light. And I don't know, I was clearly distracted, but I watched it recently, and I was like, oh man, this is so good. This is so fun.
So they're making a third one right now. You know, do you know there's a second one out?
Yeah, we watched the second one too. Yeah.
Glass Onion. That one's pretty funny. I wouldn't say it's a good murder mystery, but it's definitely a good comedy. Like, I laughed all the way through. But the way things are, it's kind of an iffy thing, because the way you want a murder mystery is you could probably solve it at the beginning, but in a way that's like super obscure that you wouldn't be able to figure it out. But the way with the Glass Onion, the way it's released, it's not really easy to figure. In fact, it's impossible to figure out at the beginning because of the whole thing. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but if you haven't, go watch it today. Watch it right now. But the third one's coming out this year, and I'm really excited because I love those shows. I love Benoit Blanc. I love him. He's pretty nice. Really cool detective. But I'm trying to master this plot reveal sort of situation, mystery reveal, the clues. I haven't quite gotten it down, and it's to the point where it's becoming a chore instead of something I enjoy. Which is probably why I'm losing the interest in doing this murder mystery book, which it can be really good, but I'm having trouble even with later murder mysteries. Like, I have probably 2 murder mysteries in my head that are like, I'd say are pretty clever. In fact, I did this like murder mystery party with my friends. It's a whole plot thing. It's pretty smart. Of course, I would say that. But to the point where I kind of have run out of ideas for murder mysteries. I have like a few more, but I don't know how I'm going to continue them at all. Yeah.
Okay, I have some questions for you, and maybe you could help. I've got a really good friend that came over my place 2 days ago, and he was talking about. He's definitely an artist, and he works at a plumbing store in town here at Peterson's, actually. He's a really good dude. He tells me, I've got to be... No one could ever come up to me and say, draw me a dragon. I can't do that. But if the seed is planted, and then I go away, and I start thinking about dragons, and then it could be 4 months later, boom, a dragon comes to his face. Like, he did this one piece of a woman's face melting, and it's just so it's almost like he gets things and he like zooms in on it and he makes it so intricate. Like, there's so many things. Like, he's a really good, I think he'd be a phenomenal artist. I think if he could stop what he's doing and focus in on that. He said to me the other day, he's like, oh man, I just wish I could sit down and write. Like, he's trying to write. I shouldn't say too much just in case they listen, because I know he does. I don't know, his wife does too, but he's making something, and it's really cool. And I think and I'm trying to help him with it. He's like, I just can't write nothing, I was like, no, dude, when do you write? Whenever because he writes. He's got a couple of poems that are really good, just talking about life and stuff. But he's like, I got to be into it before doing it, and I've got to see it. And I was like, yeah, but you're not making any time for your muse to show up. He's like, what? And I was like, well, if you regular, like, and you don't have to start off like, I'm going to sit here for 2 hours, because that's unrealistic in your world. But if you do 10 solid minutes of putting your phone aside, piece of paper, boom, and just write whatever comes down to you. If you do 10 minutes every day, you know, would you say something like that and then slowly increase that? What would your suggestion be?
So for me, I think it's what I've learned for myself. This probably doesn't apply to everyone, but if I don't get focused in the first 20 minutes, I can't afterward. So it's about getting focused. And the incentive for you to get into writing is you don't want to be overwhelmed. You like a good idea. Okay, I'll write 200 words today. But after you get into the zone, then all of a sudden you find that writing longer is easier, and you train yourself to write longer. Even then, if you just write for 10 minutes, you'll find yourself, okay, I could do it for another 10 minutes, and all of a sudden you've written for an hour, and that's an amazing progress. I prefer to write in the evening. That's when most of my inspiration comes to me, specifically after I shower. I'm like, while I'm washing my hair, I'm thinking of all these fantastic ideas.
What shampoo do you use?
I don't know the name, but it's like the only shampoo that works for me.
Wow. So this is it. It's about shampoo writers out there.
Yeah, well, also it's the only one that effectively cleans my hair for some reason. I don't know why.
If you would like the recipe for that shampoo, email me at robbirdsey, robbirdsey@gmail.
It's like a white container. It's kind of teardrop shaped in the
We're gonna
base.
make money out of this,
Okay,
yeah.
you're right. I won't say
Let's have
anything.
people email and we'll repackage it and sell it to
Yes,
them. Yeah.
you can write
It's
your name on it.
Writer's juice.
Writer's juice, right?
For your hair, of course.
Dr.
But you have to write
Dr.
after you
Rob's.
shower.
Yeah, Dr. Rob's writer's juice.
Oh no, you got to be a part of it too.
Okay, Dr.
Yeah.
Rob and Dr. Grant's writer juice.
We're not doctors at all.
Yeah, but
doctors of candy and fun things.
Well, you know, like snake oil salesman. That's what I'm.
I don't want to be that guy.
No.
What's your first name to doctor?
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go. Dr. Birdsey here.
Doctor. Yes, that's fantastic. Yeah. So, and more specifically, it's become to a point where I write till I'm exhausted, or if I actually get into writing that night, and then I'm in bed and ideas won't stop flowing. I actually have, I think it's like an insomnia problem. I can't go to sleep for hours. I don't know if that's like a normal thing or not, but like
No, it is.
like a good hour, or if I don't fall asleep in the first hour, then I don't fall asleep for 3 hours, and if I don't fall asleep in 3 hours, then I won't fall asleep for the rest of the night.
Yeah, I'm very similar to that, especially when I got a lot on my mind.
Yeah, specifically because I've learned this. Only about a third of the population has like an inner voice in their head. Otherwise, they just see like pictures and stuff, or which I think is really interesting. For me, there actually is a voice in my head, and I named him
voice.
Steven or Steve because that was possibly going to be my name when I was born.
Did not name him Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, his name is Steve. Not that he's separate in any way. He's literally just me, but in my head. So when I say
ego
things,
is Steve.
yeah, it's like Steve because that's what was almost my name when I was born. I was either going to be Steve or Grant. Boy, am I glad I was Grant. But
Yeah.
Steve, yeah, he's basically me, but he doesn't talk. He just talks in my head.
Yeah.
And he won't shut up. Goodness.
Oh man. I remember when I was first aware of the voice in my head. Okay, this sounds like I'm cuckoo, but I will say it was. I used to go out partying a lot. I grew up with not many boundaries, so I'm not proud of the way how I got to where I'm at now. But I'm also at the same time I'm who I am now, and I'm very thankful for it. But I used to go out nightclubbing and doing things, and maybe doing some things that are a little bit shady. Having some fun times, but the voice in my head would be like, if we were doing something, taking something for a little fun time, going dancing and stuff like that, my brain would literally say, take half, just take half and act like you took the full, you know what I mean, or whatever the case was, you know what I mean. I think it was like some ecstasy or something like that, through my crazy stage of life. But I would watch all my friends. What do they call that? Like the heroin thing, chasing the dragon or whatever.
I have
so
no idea.
So they call it. So once you try it once, it's like the best feeling ever, and then you'll be on it forever because you'll never get that feeling back again. But you're going after it.
Yeah.
But I would act like I'd just take a little bit, and I really would just take just enough to me to feel good about life. And I would watch the men eat these things like candy all night long. And I would be like, that is not right. And the voice in my head would be like, you need your brain for later on, man. I promise you don't do this. You know what I mean? Like, just be cool.
Yeah, it can totally mess up your brain chemistry. And like you said, the first high, it actually, that's how it chemically works, is it gives you a burst of dopamine, but after a while you build up a tolerance, like you would alcohol or something else.
Sure.
And your tolerance becomes too strong, and then you have to try and beat it. You do more to the point where
Jason
you're
the White
on the
Dragon.
operating
Yeah.
table.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's tricky, and we've talked a little bit about vices and things like that. You're extremely against anything.
Yes.
Yeah, except for what was the thing that you loved?
Sugar.
the most? Sugar. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, sugar.
Love myself some sugar. It's
The biggest addiction of the world. He's there.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I know I can't do the other stuff.
You're
Otherwise
not special,
I'll be,
sir. You're not special.
Yeah. Because if I get a drop of something else, I'm gonna be hooked forever, man.
Yeah.
Sugar is already. I already know. I know it's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, kind of.
No,
I like savory things too. But
Yeah. Oh, I love savory. I'm
Good
more.
steak.
I'm savory all day long. Versus you can keep all. You can have. I'll give you all the sugar. I'll keep all the savory. I'll give you some because you like it too, right?
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Like when it comes to drinks, water is obviously the best drink. It's so
is.
refreshing. But if I'm feeling unique that day, so to speak, I'd get like a boba tea or like a sweet tea or something like that. I'd like sweet things. Coffee, never, ever. That's nasty. Sorry. I know some people like coffee, and I know you like coffee, or you drink it at least.
I used to drink it a lot. I now keep my coffees for special occasions, but I love tea.
Yeah, it's way too bad. I can't stand bitter. I can't stand
Yeah.
dark chocolate. I can't stand.
Oh, let's just get that straight. Chocolate in America is the worst chocolate in the world. I promise you, you guys can Pepsi challenge me. I don't care. You start tasting Cadbury's from like England or Australia when it's got real sugar in it and no wax or very little waxes and all that sort of stuff. My goodness, it's so good. So good.
Yeah, I'd like milk chocolate or dark chocolate or all chocolates,
All chocolate.
because I can't stand dark chocolate. Specifically,
Really?
there's actually an event that made it so I
Let's talk about that.
yeah, it's so a while ago, back when I was in Salt Lake,
A long while ago.
Oh yeah, it's so vivid, which is why I can't have dark chocolate anymore. There was, you know how like on Easter there's like chocolate bunnies that you get and stuff like that. So my sister had one, but she didn't eat it for a year. It like a good year. It was just sitting in a room. I don't know why. Honestly, they're kind of hard to eat, so understandable.
Insert Grant.
Yeah. And I was like, oh no, we don't want to waste it because they were about to throw it out. And I decided to eat the whole head, and it tasted exactly like dark chocolate. Old milk chocolate tastes like dark chocolate. Yeah. And it was really, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of gross. So I stopped eating it. But then after that, I went to, I think it was a birthday party.
Yeah.
And actually my best friend, the one who's going to the school now, his name's Jaron. He's in the marching band. Pretty
Shout
cool
out,
guy.
Jaron, you're a cool dude.
Yeah, he is. I went to his house. We watched the Lego Batman movie for his birthday. I think it was birthday, or it was
love
just like
that
a party.
movie. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Lego knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then I drank like a Gatorade, and then I just threw up. Yeah. That's why I can't have dark chocolate anymore, because of that. It was at a public party too, so social trauma with that.
Oh man.
But it tastes, and then later on, like I was at my older brother. He's a foster brother, also really cool. He's in the Navy. He's like a medic for the Marines, because apparently the Marines can't have medics for some reason. I don't know. He was in Afghanistan, came back, has a couple kids. So my nephew and now niece. They're fantastic as well. But when I was young, he would babysit us when my parents were out of town, and he had these like dark chocolate pretzels, and I took a bite, and I'm like, oh no, and that was the first time I think I had dark chocolate. I didn't puke then, thankfully, but I had recognized the taste. I'm like, nope, and now I know what it is, so I can't have dark chocolate anymore.
Dark chocolate is so good for you. It's so good for you, man.
Yeah, that's why it tastes bad.
Maybe have you ever thought about like the benefits of dark chocolate, like proper like cacao, not garbage chocolate?
Yes, there are definitely benefits to that.
Extremely
But,
bitter.
like I said, I have an addiction to sugar that I just can't get rid of. Maybe eventually, but
Yeah.
not now. I think I've had on my way here. I had like this protein bar. It had dark chocolate in it, which it was a lot more mild. It doesn't have that sharp.
I
taste.
would try variants of dark chocolate and try and just eat them on the regular and try and get your taste buds back to, oh, this stuff is actually good, because it's way better, even if you put that with sugar versus normal milk chocolate, because there's so much crap in milk chocolate. I bet you if you stayed away from that and ventured into dark chocolate with sugar, you'd have something.
You know, it's
good
really
growing.
interesting because a flavor of chocolate is milk, and a flavor of milk is chocolate. Milk, chocolate, and chocolate milk.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mr. Ryder. I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's,
There you go.
so there's a few other things. Like I've learned that you can make an acquired taste just by trying it over and over. You actually can train your taste buds. That's how people like
No, exactly. Yeah.
black licorice.
Yeah.
Which I also tried the first time a couple weeks ago because actually that's in one of my books. That's
What'd
why
you
I tried
think? What'd you think?
It was absolutely rancid.
Aniseed. It's made from aniseed.
I don't know what that is.
It's a root.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
know that. I learned that from Magic School Bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a liqueur called Zambuca, liqueur. They have it in Australia. I think they have it in places in around America. I've just not seen it here at all. But it's licorice, and man, it's a good. I mean, you don't drink. It's a if you just wanted like a couple of small drinks that warm you up, and you feel good. You know what I mean? Like that's for the drinkers out there. Yeah, there you go. Sambuca. And they got different flavors of it too. They do like banana and they have a green. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. That's drinking. Hello.
Yeah. Can't
and
legally do that yet either way if I wanted to. So
in Australia, you could. You're
yeah,
old
probably.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I was old enough, I went to a bar in Australia. We 18, you're in a bar, off you go. And it's kind of like, elephants in Musk, like the 13-year-old elephants. About 20 years ago, they would run through towns, and they have to find a bull because everyone was poaching the elephants that much. There was nothing but baby ones coming through, and there was not many bull elephants left. So in Africa, they would have to find where a bull elephant was, so would track it. They would tranquilize it. They would helicopter that bull elephant in the path of the young one that's going through musk. Do you know what musk is?
No, I don't.
It's like when the elephant turns, I think it's around 12 or 13, it's like hitting puberty, right? So they have 4 legs. Their 5th leg comes out, and it's very out and prominent, and it's like they're just a raging bull. And they would get a group of these teenage bulls, and they would just run through a town in Africa and wipe them all out. Like just in a mad path of destruction. And they would go from town to town to town. Musk doesn't stop until a bull elephant stops it.
Oh,
so they would
yeah.
bring a bull elephant in, a full-blown, a man with a big tusk, the whole deal. And one of those guys would be able to stop a whole clan of these young dudes. Like, I'm sure the young dudes would be able to take him out, but how cool's that? Like, but that's what it was like for me. So I turned 18. I was an absolute joker. I almost said a bad word. I was an absolute idiot. Yeah, I honestly, man, I'm not proud of the way how I grew up. Right, as a person without boundaries growing up, I was wild, so wild. And then you come out of all that, and then like I've always taken my work life pretty serious. So I've always chased good money and learned as much as I could, which I think my life really took off when I had my own life in my own hands. Because then that's when I realized that my parents did nothing great for me. I mean, they kept me alive. I can thank them for that. But it was never a learning scenario. It wasn't nothing like that. So when I hit 18 and went, yeah, I'm going drinking. Yeah, it's because that's what we do in Australia. I hit a pub, and I don't even know if I lasted 20 minutes in it. I was just such a little mouth. This big dude just come up to me and threw me outside. I deserved it. I deserved it. And it's a thing that a lot of people don't agree with, because it's kind of a corporal punishment type deal. But it happens. You know what I mean? And over there, you get this humbling scenario. By the time you're like 22, 23, most people in Australia are pretty cool people. Like, they're very well-rounded, and they're men. They're very young men, but they're men. Mm-hmm. I remember when I first come over here, I was in Arkansas, and I was in a plaza, and we're shopping and whatever, and I see this kid with this guy, full blown. I mean, the guy was like 6 foot something. Had his mother and his daughter, or her daughter, or whatever. They're walking towards me, and this guy has full beard, big dude. And he is calling his mother all the baddest words you could ever think about. And he says the word mum right in front of me. I stopped him. So, excuse me, wait. Did you just say all that profanity to your mother? Right? And he's looking at me like he's all pissed too. You know, I said, how old are you, man? 21. I said, so you're a man now. Why don't you look after your mother instead of calling her whatever words you said? You know, it was an F in there and there was a B in there and there was all these. I couldn't understand it, man. It just broke my heart to see it. He looked at me. I said, dude, don't look at me like that. You're being disrespectful right now, and I'm pulling you in check. Please respect your mother, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely something that we need. Respect the moms.
But I mean, honestly, I was such an idiot. That guy could have pulled a gun and shot me. I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have said nothing.
Well, yeah.
But I was fresh off the boat, like fresh off the plane. And in Australia, we just don't do that. We will adjust things. Someone will come out and call you a little bugger if you're being a little bugger. You know what I mean? Like it's an actual thing that happens. Over here, you wouldn't dare to do it.
Yeah, I heard that it's way more blunt over there.
Oh, it's so blunt. blunt. We don't even know our tact is do it now and shut up.
There is definitely difference in culture. I would say that I've ever been to Australia, but what I've seen on the internet, as far as I know, and with you, that it's a lot more learning the hard way in Australia, whereas in America it's a lot more like protect from those learning experiences, I would say.
I need to touch on that because I think it's marvelous. That's the thing that I missed in Australia. Like families over here, and there is families over there that are very similar too. I didn't have one of those families, of course, but the love that you guys show and you teach and you grow. Like, I don't know if anyone out there that is, if you're thinking about kids but you don't really understand it, these are little things that need to understand the world, not little things that need to understand your way of life. Like, sure, they understand it, but if you're lying and if you're not telling them the truth and if you're not educating these kids to learn and adapt and to grow in situations, you're not doing that kid any favor. Raise a human. Don't train a kid not to know things until he can know them, and then it just doesn't. It builds a false laying of how much you have their back. My kids. Now, I don't know if I said that right, but what I do with my kids, and maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, I don't know.
Find out in 10 years.
My kids will come and ask me questions about everything, and I mean everything, and they've gotten cluey to all sorts of things. And I'm like, all right, let's talk about this, guys. It's not kissing that makes the babies. It's something else. But let's talk about, this is out of your pay grade. You're 9 and 7, but I promise you it's a lot bigger. You know what I mean? But I say to them, I'll educate them. Yes, there is something different there that you're thinking of. You don't have the answers there. The answers are a little bit different. I'll tell you when you're 13. We'll talk about it then, and that's when that unlocks. But if you got any more questions about it, if you learn it from someone else before me, come and talk to me so I can tell you the truth.
Trust me, you want the blue pill right now.
Oh, blue pill it is. Yeah. It's, you don't want to overload them on stuff, but you want to let them know that there's other things that they're not old enough to understand yet.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be to educate people, educate your little people, because the more you prepare them for life, the better they're going to be. And if you can, put them in a sport, put them in something. And if it's not a sport, maybe it's something else that's heady. Maybe they're into science or whatever, go do things like that.
Yeah.
So they can learn hard things. I mean, I think everyone should do jiu-jitsu. I know that's it sounds a wild, bold statement, but what I've seen with my kids, they've grown with jiu-jitsu, and they outgrew the sadness of losing their mother, the sadness of having a brute father, because I know I've had times where I've just been a bully, in a sense of just get it done now. I've got to learn to slow myself down and show them compassion. It's just fun to see little humans grow, so teach them.
Yeah, there is not that I'm a parent in any way, but I do have little siblings, so I try to be the best example I can.
Sure.
You need to show discipline and compassion at the same time, which is really hard.
It's the hardest, man. I talked about this last week a little tiny bit, but it's my brain is literally in three minds. Like my kids do something, and the first mind that kicks in, which is like point nothing of a second, I go to I'm gonna kill these little buggers. But then there's the other voice, because now I have my wife's voice in my head. I could be crazy, who knows? But literally, I hear my voice, and they're like, she'd say something like, "They're just little kids," and I'll be like, "Oh, I know." But like if I've said something abruptly to them, or if I've snapped a little bit, I take the time to regather myself, and I always bring my kids into it. I say, hey, I said something to you guys, and I kind of exploded a little bit. Right, that was Dad's brain. Don't listen to that, okay? But Mum's brain kicked in and said, "You guys, little kids, let's talk about this." And I always talk with them. How'd that make you feel? What happened? And this is my expectations are. And I don't know. It's a lot of talking. It's so much a lot of talking. But when they get it, it's amazing. Like I know my eldest, he's always just wanting to, he's very smart. I think he's smarter than me already. You know what I mean? Like he's just he's that way inclined. He's one that will go down the rabbit hole of YouTube, and I'll stick my head in, and he's watching stuff on volcanoes in the sea and all that. It's like, you're awesome, dude. Just keep doing that. We're gonna be friends forever. You know what I mean? And then he has these guilty pleasures, which he likes to see people playing video games, and he watches that stuff. And I'm sure that's just what it is. Do you watch that stuff too?
Yeah.
Can you explain it to me, because I don't get it?
Yeah. So basically, I mean, to be fair, it's kind of like watching sports.
Sure.
You're watching someone else play a game, but a lot of the times when you're watching people play a game, you're seeing what they do, their reaction to things. It's like taking your friend to watch a movie.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look at this part, look at that.
It's a little different though, because when you're watching a movie, you're not really watching your friends or that. You're just feeling their energy. Where on the screen though, you're usually seeing the main screen of what they're playing, and then you see like a little caption of the person playing it, maybe his son or someone with him.
It also allows you, because video games cost money, right? Yeah. It allows you to see these video games that you don't have yet, which is really interesting. And also, like, so let's for example, the game Minecraft. It's like an infinite possibilities to build whatever
kind
you
of
want.
fun.
You see what other people do. You get inspiration from that. You do it yourself. That type of situation. There's definitely some different situations, like depending on the game. But I will say that there are like people who are a part of these like streaming communities where they're like friends with the streamer instead of just watching them. So it kind of evolves into that over time as they get more and more understanding of the online, like more like as people, you understand how the online world works. I didn't have Twitch, which is like a streaming platform, until like a few years ago, because I was just mainly a YouTube
I've never
guy.
even gone on Twitch, but I've heard about it a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty popular. They're really cool guys on there. They play video games. They watch videos. They do projects, like all this stuff. But you want to be a part of the community. Like you make friends there. It's like another area of school. We've moved from just having friends in the real world to having friends worldwide, which is really interesting.
Cool. No, yeah, I think it's great. I just say to my kids, I have a rule with when they watch things like that, they can watch it a little bit. When it's going on hours and hours, my rule is it's not scripted, right? So it's not educational. It's just crass sometimes, or it's a little whatever they're going through, and it's not like they're targeting, because they're targeting usually like dads and sons, and they do that, and they're like, we should do that, Dad, and I'm like, yeah, I've got no time for that, but I really should make time. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like maybe it would be fun. I just don't want to.
Yeah, right. Like right now, before I moved out, my dad he started picking up video games so he could play with us, which is really fun.
Go Dad,
yeah,
dude.
He's fantastic. We
How old's your dad?
I don't really know, actually, because you never ask those questions about anyone who's older than you. That's what you're not supposed to do.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he's like, I think he's like late 40s now, maybe.
So he's around my age.
Yeah, or early 40s. Somewhere in that number.
Does he look older than me?
No. He's
You saying I look old? What are you doing? What's going on here?
Yeah, I realized that was a trap. That's why I was.
That was a trap.
Pausing,
yeah. Nah, it's all good, mate. No worries. No, shout out to Dad, man. I like that. Like there is some things I will play with the kids. You know what I mean? But I just find I don't have time, especially doing this here. This is killing me right now. You know what I mean? Like this is a lot.
Yeah.
And then to set time aside to do things, it's just so crazy. But maybe I should take a leaf out of your dad's book.
Yeah, the time is probably.
What game are you guys playing?
Well, we played a few. Like, I haven't gone on in a while because I don't really have anything to play on now that I'm up here. But we played like Call of Duty a few times. Like Minecraft. He likes to mine, and I like to build. So we have that. He's like basically gives me the resources. Is it communism? Maybe.
You have an iron fist, Macy.
Yeah. But It's pretty fun. I like anywhere where I can be creative. That's why I like Minecraft.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not for everyone. People like linear stories or like big epic battles. I like big epic battles too, like Elden Ring, which you probably have no idea
No,
what that
I have
is.
no idea.
The guy who made that game, like who consulted on that game, is George R. R. Martin, the guy who wrote Game
wow.
of Thrones. Yeah, it's a really popular game, fantastic,
Yeah.
really hard too. Probably the best game I've ever played, actually ever. Not my favorite game. I do have a favorite game, but
What is your
best
favorite game?
Hollow Knight. I love that game.
Hollow Knight.
Yes,
Good to know.
actually you could have your kids play it. It's pretty fun. It's like a 2D platformer, but there's lots of story to it. You fight bosses. It's not linear, so it's not like Mario where you go like from left to right. It's like a whole map you go explore up
all
and
over,
around.
yeah.
And
I
it
like
actually
that.
helps you with mental mapping as well. Which if
Ooh.
you're wondering,
Yeah.
like if you want to be educational, it does help with that.
Apparently, I do need to do that.
Reflexes.
My kid got lost at the basketball last night, which is a joke because you just open a door and look across and see where I'm sitting. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that's my favorite game. Also, just because of the aesthetic, the music, the story. But Elden Ring itself, also the music, the aesthetic, the story. It's just Hollow Knight. I played it earlier in my life, so it's
Yeah.
more nostalgia.
How many siblings do you got?
So
Do you
I
have?
have 2 blood related, and then I have 5 more who are foster that are older than me.
That's way cool. Your parents did fostering?
Yeah, so
That's hard.
that's when they didn't know that they were gonna have kids, like were able to
Yeah.
have kids, and then they had me. So yeah, I have 5
So
older
the-
siblings.
So there's you. So you're the oldest of your siblings.
Yeah, there's
so-
me, my brother, then my sister. So my sister's the youngest, and then we have a little dog.
and then you have 5 other.
Yeah.
They girls, boys, everyone. What?
So 1 brother and then 4 sisters.
Wow, you grew up with a lot of women.
Actually, not really, because they moved out when I was like 3. So
Really?
yeah, they're a lot older. Like I have tons of nieces and nephews because of them, which are they're like really.
Do you guys keep in touch?
Some of them, like Oscar, is probably the one I'm closest with. We were actually playing a few video games not too long ago together.
Cool.
It's really fun. It's called Helldivers. It's basically you're super Earth and you're going to these other planets and fighting off these alien bugs and you're killing them all. It's for super Earth, like super patriotic. Probably it's definitely you're like looking at okay, this is really weird. Like
Yeah.
definitely propaganda going on here, but it's so fun. So we were playing that with him and my nephews actually. They're fantastic. My niece is just starting to like become more of a person, I would say.
Yeah, they're learning
Mm-hmm.
and getting growing.
I haven't seen her that much, but my nephews I've seen because we used to live up there and like they came down here a lot more. Oscar comes down here a few times, but my other 4 sisters, 3 of them I kind of never see.
Yeah.
One of them I've seen more than the others, but not really anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're because they have their own families, their own things to deal with. They're up there, but Oscar he makes an effort to stay in touch, which is
Cool.
really nice.
That's really cool. We have come to the end of our show. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Is there anything you would like to? Did you mention anything you want to mention, or is there something you want to sort of put out there, or
Follow your dream.
follow your dreams? Yeah, no, seriously, follow your dreams, or follow a variation of your dreams, so at least you're in the vicinity of the things that you like. I have one last question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dun dun dun. It could do with anything, actually, anything in the world. What makes the difference?
Anything.
Yep.
Anything. Okay. For me, I would say what makes the most difference specifically in my life would be the effort. It's just in general, like effort that you put into things. I'm kind of lacking right now because I'm in school. I'm kind of allocating all my effort in school. But like people, like I've grown up in high school and I see all these people who are just slacking off. They're not paying attention. They're talking with their friends, and I'm like, guys, you want to learn, you can learn. I think that intelligence is something that you can like achieve. It's not something it's stagnant. It stops. Like, oh, you're too dumb for that. Oh, you're just you're a smart one. You couldn't understand. It varies based on what you do. So if you put in the effort, you can definitely improve your situation. Even just in general, if you can do anything if you're focused. And I believe that if we didn't, humans weren't going to fly for like even a week, like 2 weeks before we invented the airplane. There was a news article that came out that says why humanity will never fly for 1,000 years. But because people were focused enough, we were able to develop technology that
Yeah,
allows
the
us
Wright
to
brothers
literally
said, "No
travel
way,
across the sky."
we're doing it."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think information is information. If you, it's so easy to have information now you don't understand. Like 20 years ago, we didn't have what we have now. You have so much power in your pocket. You know, so if
Definitely.
you think of a question, oh, I wonder what that's like. Look it up.
Yes.
3 seconds later, you're going to know about it, and that's information, and that turns into power. So it's just about having an understanding. Learn to read, learn all sorts of things. Have effort. I like effort. That's a good one. Well, thanks, Grant. I appreciate you being in here. Everyone out there, thank you so much. I'm so thankful to be able to have this show and to do it for you guys. I hope it helps you guys. And I hope you have a great week. We're going into floating in the